Hi, today we're going to make this cute bunny and we're going to be practicing our blanket stitch and other hand stitches. And so you'll need the template, which you'll find in the description, some felt, pins, needles, some toy stuffing and some threads and some fabric scissors and paper scissors. Begin by cutting all the template pieces. So here we have them ready. Choose which colour felts you'll use and then we can pin all the pieces to those and then cut them out. I always try and make sure you can be as resourceful as possible, so here make sure we attach it this way round so that we've got a little bit left over and just pin it all in place and then we'll neatly cut them all out. If you can find a felt with a partial wool blend, then this will always be better. Though if it's your first attempt, normal craft felt, perfectly fine. For children, craft felts, perfectly fine too. But as you progress and make prettier things, it's nice to use a felt with some wool in it. As we need two of some of the pieces, you can always fold the fabric over and cut two at the same time. But with this project, just to be a bit more accurate, I've done one at a time. Once we have all the pieces cut out, we can add all of the features onto the front of the bunny. And so now we're going to add the tummy section. I've just added the little muzzle section on, and so if we thread our needle, we'll just do a nice running stitch around maybe a couple of millimeters away from the edge, as long as it's nice and neat. You can either do a back stitch or a running stitch around here like this. So go round in a nice neat circle, and then before we get all the way round, we're going to add a little bit of the toy stuffing into the belly. If you don't have any toy stuffing, maybe you've got a pillow that you no longer use or a cushion, you can just take a few of the fibres out, release the fibres a bit, pull them apart and use this instead. You really don't need very much stuffing for this little bunny. I thought I'd use this thicker, bigger needle to show you better on the video here, but really the thicker your fabric, the thinner the needle should be to help you get it through. So I must remember to change that when we do the blanket stitch. So a nice thinner needle's good. So here we go, just take a little bit of stuffing, wrap it up a little and tease it in there and just give him a little tummy, because as you can see there's a little raised bit there for his muzzle and it just gives another little detail. You don't have to do this, but it's quite nice to add more details in there. And then once it's in, you just carry on with your stitches and tie it off neatly there. There you go. And then I like to give him a little belly button. On the larger one we've got 5 little points to the little star, but on this one I'll just do 3 because he's only very little. Just put 3 individual stitches in there, all pointing towards the middle. As you see, my needle is far too big for this work, but if you just work with one that will go through nice and easily. So as you can see, I've just done a running stitch around both of the ear details there, and I've added a few stitches around the nose to hold that on too, and then we can do a little mouth with just another running stitch. You can draw this on if you like with a permanent pen. It is quite small on this one, and in the description I'll also add in the template for the larger bunny, the grey one here. You can also increase this one to any size you want on a photocopier, so if you want it 150% bigger, just make sure you photocopy all of the template pieces to 150% of the size and you can't go wrong. That goes for most patterns, most templates you can do that with. And also you could decrease it as well. You could decrease this one to a really little one, put it on a key ring or something, do it at 50%, that would be rather cute. I've also done a running stitch around the eyes, and then before tying off the thread, just add in a couple of long stitches for some like eyelashes, just to give a bit of detail. And then we're going to thread the needle with some white cotton, and we're going to do a French knot. So with this, you push the needle through and then wrap the thread around. This time I'm doing it 4 times round, and then pull it nice and neatly, as you can see here, into the eye, and then pull, and you should have a knot on the top there. And then repeat this and maybe make a larger one. I think I went round 7 times to go round and make a larger French knot there, and then repeat for the second eye. So once we've added all the details to our cute bunny, we can attach the 2 pieces together, the front and the back together, with a blanket stitch. So nice and neatly align both together, and then add some pins to keep them together while we sew. You can use a single or a double thread for the blanket stitch, but here, so you can see it better, I'm going to use the double stitch. So, well, the double thread. So we just thread the needle and tie a knot on the one end, and then we can begin stitching. I always go, so I'm a right-handed stitcher, so I go in to the back piece, so the knot will come into the back piece, as you can see here. And then I go in at the front at that same position. Make sure you've tucked your end in nicely there, or snip it off. And then we go back in the front exactly where it was and come out where it went in, and you'll have one loop around. There we go. And then to start off the blanket stitch, just loop under that along the edge, and there we're ready to do the second or the first proper blanket stitch. So go in from the front through both pieces of fabric, make sure the thread is behind the needle, and pull up, and you'll get that kind of bar effect across the top. Some people go from back to front, but I like to go from front to back so I can see my stitch running round as I go. Keep inserting the needle in the same distance away from the edge, and each hole the equal distance apart as well, so you'll get a nice neat blanket stitch running around the whole piece. So insert, make sure the thread is behind, and then pull up straight, and you'll get that straight blanket stitch. And as we turn the corner, we make sure all the stitches are perpendicular to the edge, as in the diagram here. So keep inserting the needle the same distance apart, but gradually the thread just bends around the corner. And then keep stitching all the way round, and in a moment I'll show you how to add some more thread. Do you see here how we've turned the corner, keeping all of the stitches straight there, like a T against the edge? As this project requires quite a bit of blanket stitching, we need quite a long thread and we can't really manage it all on the thread at one time, so we need to add more thread. And so first of all we're going to finish the thread there and tuck it through the first layer of fabric, and then we'll tie it off, but allowing just a little bit of looseness in the stitch. So we tie it off at the back because we need to pick that stitch up in a moment. A nice secure double knot there. And then we take our fresh piece of thread and we're going to insert this into the back piece, and then we can carry on stitching. So come up from the back and then catch that last stitch there, just as we would before. Take it, pull it nice and straight up, nice and taut there, and then begin by inserting the needle in the front again and keep going as we were before. So it's starting to come together now, and once we get this far we can add a little bit of the toy stuffing. Take some small sections and start inserting it into the legs and the arms. I've got a little cocktail stick here and I'm just going to cut the sharp end off and use that. Anything similar to this, a blunt pencil or anything, just to ease the stuffing into place, and just add as much in as you feel you'd like in there till his arms and legs nice and stuffed, and then we'll do the same with just the ear. Once we've added that bit of stuffing, we can pin it together a little and carry on with the blanket stitch around the edge, just leaving another little gap at the top because we'll stuff the head and the other ear in a moment. So once we've got this far, just add the remaining little bits of stuffing as we did before. Once we've put the last stitch in, we then need to bridge the gap. So we've come out from the back as normal, and then we're going to catch the top backwards there of that very first stitch we put in place. And that's as simple as that, and then just tie a double knot I tend to put in here. And then insert the needle back where the stitch came in and insert it into the body and out again. Give it a slight little tug and then snip it off, and you're nearly done. On the back for the tail I just added a cute little pom-pom. If you do enjoy my videos, please do subscribe, as it will encourage me to make more. I do really enjoy making them, but I love lots of you to be watching them too. Okay, enjoy! And there we go, we've finished. So if you enjoyed my video, why not subscribe? You can easily then enjoy more videos like this. Thank you, bye for now.